Hello and welcome to the JALTCALL podcast. Today I'm your host, Robert Remmerswaal, and I'm joined today by Luc Gougeon and Robert Dykes.
Hey Robert, how you doing?
Hey everybody.
We're here today to talk about the SUTLF conference that just finished. We're going to talk a little bit about Kaken, getting those grants, and maybe take a peek into JALTCALL 2026.
That's right. We had a great Friday the 13th conference with 21 presentation, 5 posters, and 1 workshop. And the conference was hybrid, so we had people from outside online, and we had people here in beautiful Kumamoto.
I think I remember reading we had eight attendees online and four presenters online. Yeah.
So this was actually, we had a lot of participation from those online people, even
During the plenary.
during the unplenary.
Unplenary, yes.
Let's just quickly go through. So we had 22 people from Kumamoto attending,
That's right.
which is great. A great turnout from Kumamoto. 5 in the Kyushu Okinawa area. 9 in West Japan. So that's not including, of course, Kyushu, typically in West Japan. 11 from East Japan. That's your Tokyo area. 12 foreigners, though.
That's right.
Even more than from Tokyo area.
That's right.
We had Taiwanese people from Thailand. We had Korea fly in person, and then 8 people online. So
Yeah, we had a couple from Konda, a couple from Akita. Yeah, we had one guy come all the way from Akita. I was pretty surprised about that.
So I think our airport's trying really hard to expand, and I think it's helping our conference out. It's also the first year we advertised on Instagram and Facebook, and that seemed to have
It worked.
Yeah. One person literally said in her presentation, "I'm here because Instagram told me to."
Yeah, so if you run programs for your whatever, it's actually quite cheap to advertise on Instagram and Facebook. If you sell 1 ticket, pretty much it will pay for your advertisement budget. So.
Yeah. Beyond that, we also tried some other new things. So usually SUTLF is on a Saturday for the main conference.
That's right.
This year we did Friday. What do you guys think? Moving to a weekday, was that a good choice?
It was. A lot of people stayed a little bit longer to extend their vacation. So
That's true.
and
It's
they came.
impossible to please everybody.
Yeah.
But I do think some people came because it was on Friday.
That's
Yeah.
right. And the conference always happens to be during the Kumamoto Marathon, which makes it a little bit hard.
By accident.
By accident.
We always choose a date and then look up the marathon after. we're
Challenge
selected.
International did that, twice in a row, right?
That's
Didn't
right.
they do like the Nagoya and the Fukuoka Marathon or something?
That's right.
Yeah, it's really hard to check all these events.
And being a day earlier meant that most of the school was open.
Yeah.
So we
First time they could eat lunch
At the
on
cafeteria,
campus.
yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to a few people that couldn't come because they were still doing testing. But yeah, I mean, it's always hard to find like the perfect date for something.
Yeah.
We always struggle with finding the perfect date.
Yeah, I know an ALT wanted to come, but, ALTs always say they want to come. But, of course, he couldn't because he was working.
Yeah.
But also, would he have come? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
But he had a great excuse this year. So, yeah, I really liked it. It also meant we got to have a bus
That's
to
true.
take us to the networking dinner. We've asked many, many years, and they say it's not possible on a Saturday. And the first Friday we ask, and it's approved instantly. So
I think Friday is definitely a good day for a SUTLF conference. Plus, we had the Thursday event that went really smoothly.
yeah, there was another new thing. We always have something the night before our SUTLF conference, but this time we moved it to off campus
That's right.
instead of on campus. So we rented a space downtown, which is where most of our attendees had their hotel spaces. I don't know why I say spaces, but hotels.
Hotel
Yes.
rooms, yeah.
And we did bring your own poster, which we talked about before. Mm-hmm. Did you guys bring a poster?
Yeah. Okay. So everybody kind of made fun of me. I didn't have much confidence in this idea. Like I wanted to try it, but I really wasn't sure how many people were going to bring posters. So I was really nervous that no one would bring a poster. So I printed out a big A1 poster. So we were supposed to bring A3.
A3 or A4 even was fine.
So I just wanted something big on the wall, and now I feel so bad because I think like 7 other posters ended up showing up, and then so everybody's like, "You didn't follow the rules." But it was like, it was my idea, and I didn't want it to look so bad, and it ended up anyway. It worked out great. Like some people brought their posters and didn't even go to the main conference. They were just excited about coming to network, and it was great. It ended up working great. People had drinks,
and you did spend a lot of money on it, and then I saw you trash it like 5 minutes after.
I know. I was.
That's the life of a poster.
I went to Kinko's before, and what did I spend? Like 1,500 yen. Okay, so next time I know it'll probably work, and we'll do like A3. But no, it was great. People had drinks, they had snacks, and they were, talking. It was like a very relaxed academic environment.
That's right.
A little lower pressure. Yeah.
Very laid back. About 15, 16 people were there throughout the night.
Yeah.
So if you guys are wondering what to do at your conferences, bring your own poster.
Yeah.
Keep it academic but casual.
And
so they were
rent a space, the central space.
A central space, yes.
Yes.
They were academic, but just to be clear, these were not vetted posters. So it was just people to talk about their research ideas, and even though they weren't vetted, it still worked out really well.
Yeah. Some people are trying out posters they want to present somewhere else. Some people brought posters they did previously to bring up the conversation again.
Right. So I brought my Pansig draft poster to get feedback on it, and then I'll tweak it. So anyway, yeah,
I think it's definitely something we should do again. Get that central location, have a little bit of control on when it's open and closed, because we've tried different things over the years, and this seems to have worked out the best. So we'll have to try that. And Friday, it's not brand new. No one's done it before. We've seen it many times, an unplenary. But it's the first time we tried it out at SUTLF. So the previous SUTLF podcast that we did here on JALTCALL, we had Brandon and Allison, who aren't here with us today, but they ran the unplenary. What did you guys think?
It went really well. I mean, we gathered questions online while people were submitting their abstracts. And
with registration.
Registration, yeah. They consolidated all these questions. And when the people walked in the room, we had tables ready with a topic on each table, and people could pick the topic they were interested in. It gave opportunities for people to talk about what they were interested in, and we did 2 turns. So one turn first, and then another maybe 20 minutes again. Yeah. So twice. So you had a chance to change table and change the topic if you wanted to.
All the unplenaries I've been to have worked well. This worked well. They're really good for small to medium conferences.
Yeah.
You get to talk to people you might not usually talk to. The topic's kind of predetermined.
Yes.
There's 9 tables. You get to go to any table you want.
Yeah.
So I was interested in drawing a blank now on which one I went to. I think student motivation. So we went there and just hearing how other people motivate their students. Like one thing someone said is they have a doll, like a little toy. And the first time a student speaks Japanese, you put that toy with the student, and they have to keep that until they hear someone else speak Japanese, and then they can give it away. And at the end of class, whoever has the doll has a punishment. And so they kind of decide that punishment at the beginning of the semester. So it could be something as simple as at the end of class, you have to share 3 new vocabulary words, or you have to, I don't know, just something, use English in front of everyone at the end of class. So it makes you, it's not like I've heard other people like charge money or something like in a conversation lounge, which then people just don't want to show up.
Yeah.
But this is something a little fun, a little silly that I thought.
Like hot potato.
Yeah.
With languages.
And so it gets you to.
Could you do that in your classroom here?
Maybe. I'm thinking about it.
That'd be pretty hard.
You think so?
Yeah, I hear a lot of Japanese.
Yeah, you just have to get it started.
And so what, 100% English in class is what you're asking?
Probably maybe said some times. Like English on.
Even in my Japanese tutoring classes, I use English, 1% of the time. Sometimes, I don't know if I could do 100% Japanese in Japanese class or vice versa. That's pretty.
But it kind of gamifies a little game happening in the class at the same time.
Wow.
Like, if
That'd
I'm
be
going to
fun.
use
Yeah.
Japanese, I don't know.
Some sort of linguistic and musical chair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be fun.
So we'll see. But it was an interesting idea that someone else has been using for that.
Maybe they have like a really ugly doll, and the punishment is they have to keep the doll until the next class.
Keep it all alive. We had some great presentations too.
That's right. And
Yeah.
and-
No,
and-
for a conference this size, I was impressed with the level of the presentations that I went to. You want me to talk about?
Can
the
you
ones
share a
that
couple?
I liked?
Yeah.
The one I liked the most was by Brian Birdsell. So you all know that I'm a big AI guy, and so his wasn't AI focused. So his focus is on creativity, which I find a pretty interesting subject. I've never done anything with creativity, but every now and then I'll go to a presentation on it. So anyway, he was talking about how, of course, creative thinking is important for students, but scholars have been debating and arguing how do we define what creativity means. And so where AI comes into his presentation is that it's kind of reigniting the challenge and changing how we explain and define creativity. So kind of some of the older tests and older definitions of creativity, like ChatGPT and Gemini, they're passing it with like flying colors, right? But we kind of know that, you know, ChatGPT and Gemini, they're not creative.
Yeah.
So these tests that were invented, there's like this circle test that you give to humans, and how many different pictures can you draw with these concentric circles? And ChatGPT does a fantastic job of doing this, but it's not really creating anything. Anyway, so I really enjoyed that. It really got me thinking about creativity in general, and how do we define creativity and AI in this space? So I really enjoyed his presentation. That was Brian Birdsell,
and he
from?
came all the
Hirosaki.
way from Hirosaki.
Yeah.
So
He was Aomori. I thought I said Akita. He's the Aomori guy I was thinking about.
We also had, I got to attend an online presenter's presentation by Kane Linton and Robert Stevenson. So that was really interesting because they were looking at archetypes in Q methodology study. So I didn't really know what that meant. What they are looking at is how language learners shift between different learner identities inside what they say heterotopic learning spaces, which these are classrooms where multiple expectations and norms overlap. So I didn't know that would be called heterotopic. So the expectation from the teacher might be different from the expectation from students and other different expectations that might be in the classroom. And they use Q methodology, which is a research approach that captures patterns in people's subjective perceptions.
Q methodology.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Me neither. But one problem I have in my research, I like willingness to communicate and trying to get my students more willing to communicate. But WTC is both trait-like, right? If you're an extrovert, you might be more willingness to communicate just all the time. But it's also situational, and measuring the difference between them. People have done it, but it's not great. I don't like it so much. And I'm trying to think now if there's a way to kind of mix Q methodology with that willingness to communicate and maybe some other things. So, that presentation also got me thinking. And then I think I saw all the posters were pretty good.
one of my favorite, I think.
Both Luke and I really like this poster.
John Bankier from Kanagawa University talked about how can language teachers spot machine-generated English
From students.
From students.
Yeah, students writing, yeah.
and his methodology for creating the system was very, very interesting. He basically vibe coded the whole system, the website and the survey system. And after the conference, I had the opportunity with Mr. Dykes to replicate what he did. So we vibe coded one of Mr. Dykes' survey, and we did not host it on GitHub like John Bankier did, but we could. And
We tested it.
It was a great learning opportunity, seeing something at a poster and just a day later trying it for ourselves.
So definitely, like this is really important. What he was doing, right, about can you spot AI text and stuff. So one of the things I'm working on right now is authorship, and in my research, right, like I found that even professional researchers are not being transparent with their AI usage. So if you know, if us the teachers, the educators, and the researchers aren't being transparent, like how can we expect our students to be transparent? So this is definitely an important aspect to look at. Like, do we need to change the rules for the students so that they're more willing to be transparent? Or anyway, he started a really interesting line of questioning that I think a lot of us need to consider and look at. So keep an eye on John's work and results. I think he said he's going to he has a survey out, and he's going to administer it for quite a while now. So you'll probably see him at Panzig and Call and stuff.
So yeah, do the survey.
Yeah, do
so
the
you
survey.
Can get the results.
It looks like it's going to be, like a long-term study of his. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
He made it clear that it was also telling if students are using AI.
Right.
During the conversation, it came out. He's like, yeah, if a native English speaker is using AI and going over quick to make it more in their voice, you're never going to know.
Right.
And you might suspect, but you wouldn't be confident. Let's see how confident people are with students.
Yeah, and we had a great talk with Adam Jenkins, who presented on Olama and his model file system, where you pre-prompt an LLM, and you can create these wonderful adventure game where the LLM will say, are you a biology students, for example, or are you mechanical engineering students? And it will adapt the story to the students. It was a great discussion.
Choose your own adventure book.
Exactly.
But you have to actually write, and it adjusts to you.
Yeah.
And it uses Olama, which since I guess the summer last year, it's been available as an app, so it's very, very easy to run on your Mac or PC.
Exactly.
But now, what I thought was more interesting, I don't know if it's new, but I had never considered running that directly in the server so that you can connect it to Moodle or whatever LMS you want, and then run these like choose your own adventures local. I guess it's not locally, it's in your server, but the prompts are always going to work. Once the prompts work, if you don't change the model, it's always going to work. Whereas when you connect to something external, as they upgrade and change, your prompts don't always come out the way you expect them to.
That's one thing, yeah. The people who are using ChatGPT, for example, right now are having difficulties with these prompts. But if you're working within Olama with your personal model that you pick and choose, it won't change. So
and
you can
run
modify
these models.
Yeah, you can run it for months and months, and the students can use it easily.
I mean, from a pedagogical standpoint, I think that's what we have to do if we're using this stuff for education, because ChatGPT comes out with a new model every 2 months, right? And we don't know how that's going to change. I mean, imagine if your textbook just rewrote itself every 2 months, and then it didn't even tell you all the changes it made.
Well, and it's also nice because when you're running Olama, all the input from the students is going to your server.
Exactly.
You're not, you don't have to worry unless you're hacked, which is you can take the right precautions against that. Like your student information and data isn't going out to train AI. It's not gonna trigger something else. Like it's within the university or within wherever you save it. So that's a big, big plus to Olama, even if you do have to balance that against the fact that it will not be as powerful as what these huge server farms are able to push out. But when you have specific tasks and specific models, you can get exactly what you want consistently, which is important.
And the connection with Moodle is getting stronger and stronger. The Moodle community is extremely active right now around the world. Bill White and Adam Jenkins in Japan and other people like Justin Hunt are working really, really hard for us to be able to use these models within Moodle. So it's getting better, and it will only get better with the time.
And if you missed out on SUTLF, some of these topics are going to be covered at JALTCALL.
Exactly.
So come on down. I like to say we'll be in Kobe. I know people from the Osaka-Kobe area do not like saying it's Kobe.
It's
but
between Kobe and Osaka.
it's Kobe enough for me.
All right. The Conan Cube.
Yes. So we'll have stuff on AI, we'll have stuff on virtual exchange, and that's about as much as I've read in the abstracts I've reviewed.
Some VR presentation too.
So I'm sure there's much, much more.
I'll be there.
There's we got over
if I get
200
accepted.
submissions. So
I might present a workshop on agentic AI and how you can use it for your academic research.
I might be sharing the failures I've had in my virtual exchanges if I get approved. Fingers crossed.
If I get approved, I have one solo poster on like using AI for scaffolding with ADHD. So I've been doing some work with ADHD, and kind of based on my own personal journey.
Okay.
Is what spurred this, and using like AI to help scaffold things like executive dysfunction, or what they call like ADHD freeze. And then I'm working with Miguel Campos, the Pansig journal editor. We're doing a poster at Pansig and Call, kind of like a 2-part poster, looking at AI through AI as a mediator and AI as a participant, because it kind of takes on both roles. And so when it's a mediator, how does it affect the learner? When it's a participant, how does it affect the learner? So one of those posters will hopefully be accepted at Call. I can't remember which one we put into Call and which one we put into Pansy.
Well, and we'll also, again, if accepted, myself and Tim Hall, another JALTCALL volunteer, will be presenting on how we created a listening test here at SOJO. And of course, we can share our names and connect because this podcast is coming out after all reviews are finished. So we are not ruining the anonymous process.
No.
Please don't worry.
And please go see that presentation. There was a lot of work to create that test.
Yeah.
We all helped out with it. But yeah, Tim and Luke and Robert put in a ton of time. All the voice actors as well.
Yeah.
I only helped test
Which
the
is
thing.
also
I didn't even do the voice acting.
Similar people.
A lot of work went into it, yeah.
All right, let's take a break and we'll be back to talk about Kaken in part 2. All right, we're back with part 2. We are going to be talking about Kaken. Kaken grant is something most universities are pushing us to apply for. I know they encourage us a lot here at SOJO. I got myself a Kaken last year.
I've applied every year.
Every year, really?
Every year.
So what, 3-4 times?
It's my 4th application.
So results are coming out next week for us here at time of recording.
That's right.
So I almost feel maybe more anxious than you to find out what's going to happen.
I'm very looking forward to it. I'm working on maker education and how we can use maker education to get people who don't necessarily want to speak English to speak English a little bit. So I hope it works. You've made a website to help people understand what Kaken, how Kaken works, right?
So before I submitted, I actually started my application in February to apply like in September and showed it to so many people and asked people for advice over and over and over and over again and collected all that advice only to recently find out that a lot of that advice is given to us on the Kaken website. They have all these PDFs very specific to each type, and they tell us all these things. It is in Japanese, but through the power of AI, we can all understand it perfectly. So I know, Robert Dykes, you're thinking of applying this year, right?
Yeah, this is actually my 3rd time. So in about, 12 years, I've applied 2 other times. Just taking a break, because it takes a lot out of you when you don't get it. It looks good doing it every year. So yeah, I'm taking a leap and I'm going to try again.
And you're going for a C, like the Gohyokuman.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much. Of course, I'm going to do something in AI. Can't give away my secrets yet. Of course, in case I fail, I don't want everybody to know my bad idea.
So it's not necessarily about a good or bad idea.
I mean,
It's about checking off the right boxes,
That's right.
So I'm worried about. I want something original, right? And so,
but not too original.
really,
Well, so you need research significance and importance. So one checkbox is all about being original, but you have to balance that against the third criteria, which is your research ability to do that. So if you don't have publications supporting you saying that I've done these similar things, therefore I'll be successful,
Right.
you're going to get a low score.
so that's kind of why I waited till this year. I've been building up my research in AI. So I've got a bunch of papers, a bunch of posters, book chapters, and I was kind of waiting to build up my, how do you say, my background
Yeah.
directly relating to what I want to do with Kaken. I didn't want to jump in Kaken, and because I came from like a motivation and CMC and FLA background. So motivation, anxiety, and then computer mediated communication. So that's where my background came in. And then all of a sudden I do an AI grant. I wasn't confident last year and the year before to do it. So, okay, I have a question. Sorry to jump ahead. So I heard this recently and I was a bit surprised. So Kaken is Japanese, like government Japanese grant research money. And then, but somebody told me your research should be focused internationally and globally, not necessarily
Yes.
Japan context.
So
And that's what I was surprised about. I didn't realize.
It says right in their documentation, the main three criteria are research significance and importance, research methods, and then researchability and research environment. Those carry the most weight, but there is a score on internationality. Either it's highly promising, mostly promising, or not very promising. And some fields will put that up a little higher, especially in round 2. So there's 4 people who score you, and they'll give those 3 main criteria a score from 1 to 4, and then 4 being the best. And then they'll give an overall score of 1 to 4, where internationally may or may not play a role. It's not clear to me exactly where it plays a role, but when they give that overall score, they have to think only about 10% of people can get that 4. It's kind of, they're supposed to curve it. It's not going to be perfect. That means that some people are just getting a 3 when they deserve a 4, which might be kicking them down. So if you're a 4 in stage 2, you're just going to get the money. But if you're a 3, now you get it kind of in priority of how much funding is left over. And so you might have been deserved to be a 4, but then someone's like, let's do round 2 based on internationality, and now you're not.
Oh, wow.
That part is a little, maybe I'm making some assumptions, but if you're not in that top 10%, it seems like a little bit more subjective than the first part. So you want to
top
hit all your
10%. Are you
bases.
saying that it has a rejection rate of 90%?
So no, is it on the? I had it somewhere, but about 25% of people.
That seems a little, yeah, okay. 90% would be, wow.
So 10% from stage 1 kind of gets to go forward.
Now, are you
then your
talking
stage,
all-
people who get like a 2 or 3 get put together, and from that, only an extra 15% of the total are going to go forward.
Now, you're talking all Kaken grants.
This is specifically for C.
For C, okay.
Of how that
So we're not
works.
talking
So-
like, nuclear MRI machine level
But it's going to be,
budgets.
they're all very similar how they're decided. So the top priority gets the funding, and as funding runs out, they just stop. Like, some are
gotcha.
just rejected. If you're rejected, they're not,
Sure.
they'll just keep the money.
I get, yeah.
which I don't think ever happens. But so having a good idea is important, but also making sure that they can check off those boxes.
So it's also a pool of money, not necessarily the number of applicants. So if they have if this guy doesn't need the full amount, then there's some money left over, and then they may have money for another grant applicant. Interesting.
Though I've
Okay.
been told in the sciences, I don't think it applies to us. But each reviewer has their own biases, right? But I was told by a science teacher here that if you're not applying for like 95% of the maximum budget, you're a joke, and they're not going to mark
heard
you
that.
higher,
I've heard
highly.
Yeah, when I did my first Kaken grant, they told me, like, I was so surprised to hear this. They told me, like, the school was telling me, like, ask for more than you need, and ask for as much as you can. Like ask for 10 computers and 10 laptops and
I was told here, though, do not ask for a computer because it's very hard unless you absolutely need it.
it's like central to your
If it's
research.
not central to your research, you can maybe get it later, but don't put it on. And I was told, like, they will take it off here for what I was applying for.
Okay.
I mean, you see my computer. It did happen to come from my budget. I've been audited, and it passed the audit. I'm not afraid to say it, but it was not there originally. You also, one reason they might say to write more is because after they've scored you, they go through your budget, and they'll say X if something seems not reasonable. And if everything is unreasonable, you can be just rejected right then and there.
Exactly.
So I've seen people in our field, language teaching, who have very small Kaken budgets that they applied for and they received it. So this idea that you have to apply for the maximum, I don't think is true. But I know that I did apply for near the maximum. Luckily, at the time, flights to North America were very expensive, and there's 2 people on the team, so that really boosted it. I didn't get all that I asked for. They might have said, hey, Hyakumanen to fly to Canada is a little bit extreme, and the prices have come down. But at the time, that was a real price. I could show tickets online.
Of course.
So, yeah, you also want to make sure that you're writing to humans. So, people... I was told roughly, this might not be correct, but maybe about one person's getting like 20 things to score and review, and they get paid 5,000 yen. So they'll set in their head how much time they're willing to read an application. So adding graphics to make it easier for them to read, putting things in bold so they can skip to the main points are all things that make it easier. You're allowed to submit in English. You're allowed to submit in Japanese. The person reading it may not be fluent in English or may not be fluent in Japanese. So, write in a way that can be translated easily and be understood. Also, write in sentences, hey, maybe they have, let's say, Eiken Pre-1. They're pretty good, but they're not an expert in your field. So write in a way that a non-expert can still understand it and understand it quickly, especially if English or Japanese, the language you wrote in, isn't their first language.
And of course, don't be afraid to ask Japanese teacher to help, or people with more experience, or some people who had many Kaken. I actually decided to added somebody to my Kaken who has a lot of experience in research. A new teacher at the university, and he helped me a lot with the formulation of my Kaken to make it more clear, easier to understand.
Well, and he can also then add his journals, the things that he's published, his publications now support you.
Exactly.
And if he's on there, it shows that if you get stuck, you can fall on an expert like him.
Exactly. And
even though he's co-investigator.
And he happens... Even if he's a co-investigator, he speaks both English and Japanese, so he can publish in both languages.
Yeah.
So that's a clear advantage.
Well, and language isn't that important, but I just want to bring up a point of everyone who reviews Kaken has received a Kaken, is my understanding. But a lot of us apply for a 02100 or foreign language education. So this could be someone who's an expert in call. It could be someone expert in learning methods. It could be someone who's an expert in early English education, someone an expert in history of foreign language education policy, or curriculum evaluation. So if someone's really good at curriculum evaluation, how much do they know about virtual exchange, which is what my Kaken is related to? So one of the best people to review my application was a science teacher who knew nothing about anything related to second language acquisition. And he called out so many of my acronyms that I thought were so common. Even my methodology. He was not an expert whatsoever with qualitative methods. And he said, this makes no sense to me. You have to explain this. And so I had to, of course, weigh and look, well, I think maybe everyone in foreign language education will understand this part. I don't need to explain it because I only have 4 pages. It's kind of hard to get my idea across. But yeah, he has a point. Like, this is not easy for a curriculum evaluation expert to understand, and I need to really make that clear. So,
best of luck to Mr. Dykes in creating his Kaken. Best of luck to me in getting one.
yeah, I hope you get it. For anyone like me, I would really recommend that you start writing now for that application in September and start showing it to more and more people.
That's right.
If you don't have that network, I've created a network that you can access using your research funds. So if you go to rdrservices.jp, I've summarized what Kaken says in their own documents. I've written some of the tips that I've received or that I've learned along the way as well. And yeah, we also offer on here reviewers. If you want 1, 2, 3 people reviewing, unlimited reviews, if you want to get that external review and you don't have your own network, use some research budget and get it done.
Good idea.
So,
and all the details will be in the show notes. So if you want to consult that website, just click on it. It's going to be in the show notes in the website.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you, everyone. I wish you all the best in your Kaken endeavors. And hopefully by the time you're listening, you've all received your Kaken, everyone who has applied, and can go through the painful bureaucracy that is to follow.
And I hope that there'll be a SUTLF 11 next year and you'll be able to come to Kumamoto and see us.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.